Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome to a brand new Let's Play series, American Midwest, here on Who Dat Who Dare Ranch. This is a replacement for American Outback. We have upped sticks and relocated to this new farm here. I'm just going to give you a quick tour around the yard so you can see what kind of equipment that we're going to be using this time out. So, we've got this awesome little Merlot turbo farmer here. We've got a selection of different attachments for it. Some bale spikes, bale grabs, pallet forks, and a nice big bucket there. If we move over to the next shed, you can see we've got a baler, a square baler just over there, and a weeder. Moving into the next shed, these are our tractors that we've pulled across from American Outback. We've brought the Case quad track with us. We got rid of our original Challenger and upgraded for a slightly larger, more powerful version. We've gone for the MT845E, and we brought the Optum with us, as you can see. And then if we go across here, you can see we also have the Holmer Terra variant here, complete with auger tank just here. We've also got a Cramper big body tipper and a Lely forage wagon just there. That's all of our equipment pretty much over here. We do have a couple of little bits as well. We have a seeder, we have a cultivator, we have our 920 or 9230 combine, which we brought over as well, and we're using a corn header. That's an actual Case corn header this time round. I never get to really use that thing. I've always gone for ones that fold up. I thought it'd be quite nice to actually use the official Case branded one for a change. And of course we've got the draper to go with it. There is actually one other bit of equipment to show you as well, now that I think about it. Just around here we also have our 8-meter cultiplier. We brought that with us from Outback as well. So that's kind of all the equipment that we have down here. I'm just going to make my way over to our pickup truck. We do have a secondary location on this farm as well, so I kind of want to run you through everything that we brought over, because we've also brought over our cows. We have 100 cows, although right now we have absolutely zero food or bedding for them whatsoever, so we're going to have to get them up and running pretty quickly. If we head out and get the lights on, head over to our second farm. We do have an interesting selection of fields. So as you can see, we're starting with fields 24, 23, 22, 10, and the default starting field of 12. This is because we had a lot of fields and a lot of acreage on American Outback. I wanted us to have a decent starting amount of land on this one, but not over the top. So I've gone with those fields, added in the two fields next to our farm, and then 22 and 10 to kind of link up with the field 12 that the game starts us with on this map. And then up the top here with our animals, you can see we have our cows in place just over there. And if we pull in here, this is our northern farm up here, and I've put a few bits and bobs in just to expand this area ever so slightly. So this is our tractor up here. We have our little Case Puma. We brought that with us as well, and we brought some little extra bits. So we have, you can see, some front loader arms just there with a manure bucket. We also have the Sapphire silage kit, which I've been wanting to try out and not got round to just yet. As we spin around here, you'll see we also have a Kuhn merger, a Krona tedder. We're using the Lely front mower and the Kuhn rear mower because they're items that I've not used before in a Let's Play. We also have the round baler with wrapper, and we're going to be using a couple of Herbst items here. So we're using the Herbst low loader trailer, which will also double hopefully as a bale trailer. That's kind of on a trial basis. Not really sure how well that's going to work out. I've heard some people say it's good, some people say it's bad for bales. Obviously we have a couple of these silos up here as well. I've also added in a little shed just there, and then a workshop next to it, so that we have some something to add our machinery to. Put in a pressure washer just there, and a weight next to it. Then we have our water tanker and our animal feeder. Again, we've brought those from Outback with us, and a little herbs dump truck. This trailer is just so that we can add grass or straw or whatever we need to a trough, nice and simply. And then we have a couple more attachments for our Terra variant up here as well. We have a slurry spreader, and we have a manure spreader. Nice to have those nice and early on. And then I've also stuck in a forage silo for our farm up here as well. So that's all of our equipment, that's all of our farm. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of good stuff laid out across 2 different locations. But we're going to get started first of all working on our cows. So I was going to head back and do something else, but we'll park this up just here. Engine off. Turn the lights off as well so don't kill the battery. And let's jump into our case, Puma. So first thing we need to do is we need to get some grass. So I'm going to try and be a lot more sort of hands-on this time around with this farm. I am wary of the fact that it's possible this map may get an update which could potentially cause a reset as well. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. If it does get updated, that it doesn't require an update. One thing I have noticed through testing on this map is that it is impossible to do any work on expanding your fields or joining fields together. For some reason the grass is pretty much indestructible, and I'm not entirely sure why. So you can actually plough the ground, but the grass texture that you see, and I'll jump out and show you what I mean. These little tufts of grass that you see poking through here, obviously these are placed here, these are meant to be here because they show part of the scenery, and you would expect to see them like this. But when you plough the fields, or you plough the ground to expand or connect fields, they should get removed along with the ground texture, and they don't. The ground texture changes to that of ploughed ground, but those tufts stick through. It's like indestructible grass, and it's kind of a little frustrating. So it's kind of impossible to properly join our fields right now. A little bit of a shame. I'm not sure why that's happening, but it is happening. So until that gets resolved, we will not be able to do any sort of field expansion. We're going to do some grass work. So we have a few of these paddocks, as you can see, dotted around on the map. We've got this one here, which we're working. We also have one not far away from us, actually, and then a couple more below Field 4 as well. And then one down by the BGA bunker. We also have one out towards the Ferguson grain elevator, out on the right-hand side of the map. This is the primary one that we're going to be using for our animals, just simply because it's quite handily located. So we're going to be sort of running around this field and mowing all of this grass, as you can see. And then we'll come in and we'll merge it, we'll scoop it up. We'll start using this for feed. We need to create some silage for our cows so that we can get the basis for some TMR. We also need to get some hay. We need some regular grass. So we'll probably do a little bit of everything out of this field. We'll probably do a little bit of grass work, and we'll probably do some hay work on this cutting as well. I want to thank you all for your suggestions. The suggestion of American Midwest is something that was kind of messaged to me and discussed with a friend, as it kind of ties in with the American Outback from the previous farm, you know, keeping that American theme going. So American Midwest was the name that I settled on. I'm not a big fan of the name Who Dat Who Dare Ranch. It just, for me, it just sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like I said in my tour video, I really don't know why Shu decided to choose that name. You know, I don't know what about that in the comments on the forums, you know, made him inspired to pick that particular suggestion. Because when he created this map, he had no name for it. He was just initially, you know, had it as No Name Ranch. You know, he'd created the map but didn't have a name for it. And someone in the comments in the forum thread suggested Who Dat Who Dare Ranch, and I, for whatever reason, Shu thought it was brilliant and decided to call the map Who Dat Who Dare Ranch. No idea why. I don't get if it's a reference myself. But yeah, like I say, I'm not a massive fan of the name, but I do like the map. So here we are on our brand new farm. And it's come at a good time as well. I mean, you know, we were running American Outback. The plan was to run it a little bit longer before we got rid of it, but that's an old map now. We've had that, you know, since what, June, I think, maybe even May, possibly, when that map went live. So that one's been available for quite some time. We've been running it, you know, for a good 3 or 4 months now on the channel. And the only other farm that we have active at the moment is Big Bud Farm. And again, that's been running for a good 3 months or so now as well. So there's nothing fresh, there's nothing new. You know, we've killed off Fent Farm for the time being. That will be coming back once we get the West Coast map going live on console. Just managing to check that we are actually clearing everything here. So yeah, once the West Coast goes live, we will bring Fent Farm back, and we will bring Massey Manor back as well. But until that happens, we are kind of a little bit short of content for Farm Sim. You know, we needed a new location to freshen things up a little bit. So enter this map, and it just happened to be a map that I really like. I mean, there have been a few maps that have gone live that I could have potentially done, but I just haven't felt inspired enough. There was Golden Days of Farming, and it was kind of cool, but it just didn't grab me the way I thought it was going to. You know, I did a little bit of play testing on the map once I did my tour, and I never felt comfortable on that map. I just didn't like how rigid it was, how little there was in terms of what I could actually do on that map. The fields felt way too spaced out for me as well. So I just, for whatever reason, I didn't connect with that map the way I thought it would. And I liked the theory of doing a logging map, but I can only do logging in small doses. I can't do a sustained logging run. I lose interest in it very, very quickly. So the thought of doing a logging let's play was initially sort of bandied around, but again, it's not something I would have felt I could have really thrown myself into for more than half a dozen episodes, and beyond that I think I would have got bored very, very quickly and struggled to motivate myself to actually continue doing that let's play. So rather than starting a farm and killing it after just half a dozen episodes or so, I felt it was better to just not do it at all. So it's left us in the situation where, you know, once Fent Farm closed down, it left us with very little farming content left. You know, we have, as I say, just American Outback and Mustang Valley, and that was it. And this is now a direct replacement. But we're going to run a couple of episodes a week, at least, maybe 3 episodes a week for the first week or two, and then we'll kind of dial it back a little bit. Say we're waiting for West Coast, and as soon as that goes live, we'll have 2 more Let's Plays on the channel, with Massey Manor returning and Fent Farm returning. And then beyond that, you know, we've also got some other great maps coming up as well, including the map from Black Sheep on the Valley, the Old Farm. That is now going through their testing process, their own testing process, which means they're getting ready to submit that through to Giants. Their forecast for release was October/November, sort of leaning perhaps more towards November, but with that going into their own testing process, that's a good sign that we might possibly see that in October. That looks to be a really good map, another big map as well, 93 fields on that one. And then, you know, we have the Platinum expansion going live in November, where we'll have the brand new map and the brand new equipment to play about with when that goes live on November 14th. Plus we have Real Farm Sim going live on the 20th of October. Still very little details from Sedesco on Real Farm Sim. I'm amazed that they haven't released some real gameplay footage yet, you know, other than just that little 90-second trailer that they've done, which shows off some of the footage. A little concerned, a little disappointed by that as well. I mean, I like the sound of the game, but I'm starting to worry about it again, simply because we don't have that advanced footage. We're, what, 18 days, as I record this, 18 days away from that game going live, and still there's no real footage out there whatsoever. So that's a worry for me. It really is a little bit of a worry. It's not even available to look at as a pre-order on the PlayStation Store yet either, which is, slightly worrying as well. Spin Tires is due out on October 31st. I have got that pre-ordered. And interestingly enough, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, then if you pre-order between now and the game going live, so anytime between now and midnight on October the 31st, you will be able to use your PlayStation Plus to get a 10% discount on the pre-order price. So instead of £35 here in the UK, it's £31.50. So I'd imagine, instead of what, I think it's $39.99, so $40 in America, that'll be 36. So yeah, assuming that the American store is doing that 10% discount as well, do check the pre-order section. And if you are going to get the copy of the game, and you're dead set that you're going to get a copy of the game, might be worth pre-ordering it if that discount is available, and save 10% of the cost. That's what I've done, and I'm looking forward to sort of getting my hands on Spin Tires. That goes live on October 31st. That will be featured on the channel. So there's that coming up as well. So lots and lots of stuff coming up in the next few weeks. You've just got to get there and get to that point. You can see we're doing quite well so far in this field, but there's a lot of it to go, so I'm going to shut up for a bit. I'm going to do some more mowing, and I will come back to you as we're finishing this field off. I am planning on being a little bit more hands-on with this particular series than I have been with American Outback, so I'm going to be doing a lot more of the jobs myself rather than relying on the AI, especially because I have found in kind of pre-record testing that the AI can be a little bit patchy on some of the fields on this map. Plus, it's a nice change of pace to get a little bit more involved in the farm. I'm going to try and do a little bit more in-cab as well, because I know that some people are really, enjoying in-cab footage. So I'm going to try and do a bit more in-cab stuff. There we go. And as with the last episode of Big Bud Farm, I am driving with a 50-degree field of vision on the camera, so sitting a little bit further forward in the cabin here to try and get a better sort of driving angle out the windows, not have these crossbars sort of in the way of stuff. It's kind of the plan, and hopefully I will be joined by a buddy of mine on a pretty regular basis. He'll be helping out with the day-to-day sort of work on the farm as well. So the reason why the first thing I'm doing is focusing on getting the cows up and running is because what I want to do with this is try and do an all-natural fertilizing farm. So I want to use manure and slurry to get my fields up and running, and then use a weeder just to kind of finish them off. Now I'm aware that 100 cows, while a decent starting number, is nowhere near enough to kind of generate the amount of fertilizer I'm going to need to support my farm. It does mean that some of our yields will be a little bit low to start with. That is unfortunately kind of out of our control, so we're just going to have to weed as best we can multiple times and get the cows up and running as quick as possible and add to their numbers as fast as possible as well, so that we can start producing the level of slurry that we need. I'm also planning on doing pigs on this farm as well, to again increase the amount of manure and slurry produced. and that will be coming up very soon as well. So let's get some of this tedded. So that we can get some hay. We will at some point do sheep as well. I'm just not entirely sure where. I'm keeping the main kind of entry as just the middle path as our only way in and out at the moment. Obviously we've got to keep the one to our left kind of closed because we do have cows moving around through that section, so we can't just leave that open, or cows will kind of just, you know, be able to wander onto the roads. We don't have any pigs yet, so we can run up and down the middle one, which gives us good access to the whole yard without, you know, getting stuck from one end all the way over to the other. And we don't have sheep yet either, but when we do get pigs, we'll obviously have to move to that location. It's really quite foggy, as you can see this morning. It's making it quite hard to see. Let's get our tether in place. There we go, so we'll lower that down, turn that on. And off we go. So I'm not going to do a lot of this field. I'm going to do maybe a third of this field as hay. And then we'll have the rest as grass, and then of the grass we'll split some of that up so that some will be used for feed, the rest will be used for silage. We are going to try and do a couple of things on this farm that we haven't done previously as well. So we're going to be doing some corn chaffing in the future. We haven't done that yet. That'll be a nice little change. And we may well break into spuds at some point on this farm as well, although we will definitely be running beets. I have actually created a secondary, well, I say a secondary, an additional sell point area on this map, which I will show you in a moment. I've added in the placeable mill, and I've also added in the brand new placeable beet sell point as well. So if you look on the map, you see bottom left you've got field 16, and then just opposite that, on the default version of this map, this is just a sort of a storage area with some empty half-sized sort of hangars, and then you've got a fuel point, a seed point, and a fertilizer point as well. And what I've done, you can see at the top there, those two little arrows, I've added in the mill and then the MC root crops sale point as well, both at the top there. So we have almost like a secondary farm location over there. It just needs a silo, and it's done. I have no plans to add silos down there. As you can see, I've already got silos up here with the cows. Oops, that's a little bit clunky. But it's nice to have those extra sell points, and they do actually show up in the sell points here. So you can see here is the mill, and if we highlight that and then go to the minimap, you can see it's now flashing on the minimap there. And same again if we press X to turn that off, and then where is it? MC root crop sale. Same again if we press X, you can see the little circle next to the name lights up, and that makes that one flash on the minimap. So those are the two placeables that I've added onto the farm as well, just to give us a nice extra sell area, which will do both grain and root crops. This might be enough actually on the hay side. How much of the field are we doing? Yeah, I think this might be enough just to get us a decent starting amount of hay. I mean, this will be for our TMR. And then the grass, as I say, we'll be splitting some of that as grass for food, and then the rest of the grass will be used as chaff, so that we can make some silage. Well, like I said, I need to get these cows up and running as quick as possible, so that we can start producing manure, start producing slurry. We won't be able to produce any any manure, any solid manure, until we have straw down. Same with our pigs. When we get pigs, we won't be able to generate any manure off those until we get some straw bedding down. But they should start producing, liquid manure and slurry for us pretty quickly once we can get their food sort of sources dealt with. I'm going to be looking at running these episodes at maybe around 35 to 45 minutes, depending on how frequently I'm doing them. This first episode is going to run a little bit longer than that. Going to be looking at 50-55 minutes maybe, just as this is kind of like the introduction episode. So the first 5-10 minutes of this farm video is sort of looking around, surveying the new stuff, and then obviously getting started from there, and then getting some farming action going. So we've done a little bit of mowing, we've done some tedding. It's time to start rowing that grass up so we can get our forage harvester, our forage wagon involved, actually get all that scooped up. Let's see if I can back this in nice and carefully. There we go. Beautiful. Let's drop that just there. Let's pick up our merger. And away we go with that. So I'm going to have to do this outside of the cab, just so I can make sure I'm not scooping up the grass as well. We'll get the field rowed nicely, and then we can, as I say, get all that collected up, transferred into the relevant tanks that we need for storage, and also for food as well. Oh, a little bit of a big bump just there. Oh, nearly missed my turn. So we'll get this unfolded, and what I want to do to make sure that I'm not scooping up where I shouldn't be scooping up is kind of start here on this side first. There we go. So if I lower, it should already be default work left mode. So yep, work left. Excellent. So zoom the camera out a little bit so I can make sure I can see what I'm doing. Try and make sure I get all of this hay without picking up the grass next to it. It's going to be a little bit tricky. There we go. It's all coming along quite nicely. Try and avoid clipping the rock. Oh, not quite. It's a little clumsy there. Spin around and come back up the field again. I'll try and get this in a straight line if I can. Just makes it easier for collecting. It's still slightly wonky. That's close enough, I think. I do love this merger. This, for me, is just a fantastic piece of kit. I'm so glad that we got this in the Coon DLC. I've used it so much, but so little on camera. try and spin around, straighten up. Okay, there we go, beautiful. So once we get this done, I'll have to drive back to the main farm and collect our forage wagon so we can collect all of this. Obviously, I still need to row up all the grass as well, so I'm going to go ahead and carry on rowing everything up, and then once that's done, we'll collect the forage harvester and then start scooping all of this up. Well, there we go, that's all of our rowing done. So you can see we've got a couple of nice big rows of hay and then quite a few rows of grass there. Let's take this back to the farm, get it all cleaned up. And then from there we'll go grab our forage wagon. And then we can actually get all that collected and start feeding our quite hungry cows. They have absolutely zero feed. They don't have water either, actually. That's something we can do. We can get some water. Now, there are a couple of places on this map where you can kind of get some water. Actually, how dirty is this thing? Does it need a clean? It's looking pretty good. We don't actually need to clean that, so... try and back this thing in. Ooh, a little close to the tether there. There we go, not a bad parking job if I do say so myself. So what we can do is we can actually water our cows. They do desperately need water, they don't have any. There are a couple of spots where you can get some water. We may struggle slightly pulling this thing back out again, given how heavy it's going to be with 32,000 litres of water on it. But there's not a great deal of spots where it's easily accessible as free water. I thought initially that having that canal that runs through the map, as you can see there above our main farm and with the shop just below it as well, I thought that might possibly be a good place, but it's so steep, those walls for the canal, that even if you fall in and you're not in a vehicle, you can't get back out again without switching out, switching to a vehicle or opening a map to jump somewhere. And if you get a vehicle down there, forget it, it's gone. You're going to have to reset it. So that's no use at all. So I thought somewhere over here would be pretty decent. There's a spot just here which isn't too bad, although it's a little steep just here. There is one a little bit further along, which is where we are going to go. I can turn around and not get caught on that rock. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of struggle our way over there. This is a little bit more accessible, just over here. It's a little bit further away, but it's there's a few solid trees on this one. This sort of entryway just here is a little bit more accessible for us, so try and make our way over the rock, bump our way down. It's not quite so steep just here. This is a little bit more user-friendly, so we're going to back the tanker in just here. And there we go. Start filling her up. So you can see there, the kind of depth and angle of the bank by just dipping below the surface of the water there. It's not too bad over here. And let's have a look. You can see, there we go, 100 cows. Complete cleanliness. Obviously, we're not doing anything with them at the moment. They've got no food, nothing to throw out the food troughs. So we do need to get on that pretty quickly. But we'll give them some water. Hopefully that'll at least maybe get them started on productivity. So let's drag this thing up this little bank just here. It's really heavy, 32,000 litres, and having those rocks and that sort of tree with collisions there is not as helpful as it could be. But it's free water, we can't really complain. It's not too difficult to get to. So yeah, if you are playing on this map and you are looking for easy access to free water, that there is my recommendation. Use that second pond and get it just past the junction. That for me has been the easiest place to gain access to and retrieve from. And I'm bringing this all the way up here, and I've just driven straight past the water trough. That was not clever, so I need to back this up without actually being able to see where I'm going. Try and keep it as relatively straight as I can. Now bend it around there. There we go. So there's our water trough. And you can just about make out the water level going up. The trough getting a little bit more blue. And there we go, 21,000 litres of water. That's quite a lot. But then again, we do have 100 of them that need a drink. So we'll take this tank back, stick this back on the farm, then we'll go collect our loading wagon. And from there, as I say, we can start scooping up and start giving some food to these animals and start making some silage. Alright. So we're going to start with the grass. Try and get all of this scooped up. I'm in two minds as to whether or not I want to make these grassed areas, sort of plough them out a bit so that I can weed the grass, but I don't really want the hassle of having to constantly keep fertilising this grass between cuts. I'm more happy to just leave these areas as they are, and if necessary just double cut the grass before I collect it. Not expecting to get, you know, earth-shatteringly high amounts from just this one field. But we do have quite a few paddocks sort of knocking around, as I said, so we can quite comfortably just sort of run around and mow all of them if necessary. Although with the small mowing equipment that we have, that will be quite a time-consuming job to make sure that all of them are mowed. Whoops. I wasn't sure if there'd be collisions on that thing or not. Apparently there are. Let's see. This could be quite tricky trying to get that grass that's along the side of it. Yeah, we might have to lose that little bit of grass just there. I haven't used this Lely forage wagon for quite some time. I've used it before. I used it quite a bit on Goldcrest back when I was first playing the game, but I haven't used it on a Let's Play at all, I don't think. I've generally tended to go with the larger Stroutman, the 50,000 litre capacity. This one has a 42,000 litre capacity, so it's by no means, you know, small. It's still pretty sizable and will hold a decent amount. But I just wanted to shake things up a little bit, use equipment that I don't normally use or haven't used before on the channel, add a little bit of variety, so you're not just seeing the same old things over and over again. That's what I like to try and do with the mods as well, so I like to kind of switch things up with the mods a little bit here and there, you know, add some new ones in, take some old ones out. We will not be using the BSM Legend trucks on this farm, and we will not be using the BSM 70,000 litre trailers. I've kind of become a little bit dependent upon them since they came out. I use obviously them, you know, all the time on Mustang Valley. Kind of need to, really, given the size of that particular farm. And I was using them on American Outback as well, and I thought, well, I could just bring them across and use them on here as well, but I wanted to try things a little bit different, as I said, shake things up a bit so I'm not using the same mods time and time again. And so instead, we're actually using the Boss trailer. I've got a Twin Star parked up at that location where I've got the two, you know, placeable sell points. That's parked up there with the Oshkosh trailer in case I need to actually transport machinery around, and it's also got the Boss trailer with a 69,000 litre capacity, or 65,500, something along those lines. It's quite a big trailer, and that is our one and only sort of transport trailer, and it's going to be used literally just if we need to bring in, you know, a transport truck to shift a large quantity of something. So we've got grass here. What we're going to do is just drive past our turn off and then double back on the inside just here. We're going to top up the grass trough first of all. There we go. So we'll get a load of grass in there. Oh, wow, these cows are going to take a lot of grass. Wow, they took a full trailer. I was not expecting that. I was expecting them to take 20, maybe 30,000 litres of grass. Did not think they would take everything. How much did they actually... It's almost filled them. You know, it looks as though 42,000 litres was pretty much everything that they needed. So I don't think we're going to need that much more to actually completely fill that trough. Maybe just 1,000 or 2,000 litres looking at that that bar there. But that was an awful lot. Which makes me think that this hay is not going to keep them going for more than 1 or 2 days. And it also makes me wonder just how much grass I'm going to have for silage as well. Probably not very much at all. So I'm going to carry on doing the rest of this field with the grass and then the hay. And then I will catch up with you again in just a moment. Okay, there's a little bit of grass left to collect, not much, but I've grabbed some hay. I want to get the food levels up as quick as possible. I've filled obviously the grass trough all the way up, and productivity for the cows is currently at 17% with the grass and the water. So let's add some hay to the food trough, boost their productivity a lot more. I'm expecting this to pretty much fill their productivity up to about 60 odd percent, 62%, something like that. I think it was like that on Mustang Valley when I got them started. So you can see we've added 2.5 days worth of food there. That'll be enough to keep them going. The rest of the hay will go into storage for TMR, although there isn't really a lot of hay left to collect. There's not really a lot of grass to collect as well. We have, what, a full trailer, 42,000 litres of grass in storage, minus a couple hundred litres, actually thinking about it. of stuff that was just used just to top up the last of the trailer. Completely missed my turn there. There we go. Let's nip out ahead. So as you can see, most of this field is clear now. And 42,000 litres or so of grass plus whatever's left, which isn't that much, is not going to do much at all, I don't think, for getting silage underway. So what I might have to do is mow a second field. We've got a little bit of time. Oops. Is that it for hay? That's it. 3,000 litres, that's nothing. In that case, I may as well just add that to the food trough if that's all that's left. We may have a couple of little strips that I missed up here. Yeah, that's it. Look, tiny little scraps left. So not much at all in the way of food here, but it's enough to keep them going for 2 to 3 days at about 2/3 productivity. So it's better than nothing. We'll need to get some silage fermented pretty quickly as well, so I'm going to have to do quite a bit more mowing, I think. But I do need to get these animals up and running as quick as possible. Get them to at least start producing slurry. You know, we've got, let's see, how many fields do we actually have? Is it 5 or is it 6? I think it's 5. 22, 23, 24, and then 10 and 12. So yeah, 5 fields, all of which are going to need some form of fertilisation. Now, they've all been ploughed. I leased a plough and put the quad track to work as soon as I sort of arrived on the farm to clean off the fields and get them ready with the start of this Let's Play. And in doing so, it has actually given us a little bit of fertilisation. So by ploughing what was on the ground, or on the fields into the ground, we have stage 1 of fertilisation on field 22. No, not 22, sorry, on field 10, field 23 and 24. They all have stage 1 fertilisation. 12 and 22 have no fertilisation at all whatsoever. But all of those fields, all 5 of them, are completely ploughed and ready for planting / cultivating. So we'll have completely clean fields that won't need to be ploughed at all. And of course, we don't actually own a plough. Because we can't connect any of the fields together or even expand their borders, it seemed a little bit pointless to have a plough at this stage, especially when we have the culti-plough, you know, there to basically keep those fields in tip-top condition after every single harvest. So yeah, no plough on the farm at all, but no real need for one at this stage. As we progress forward, and if the map gets an update that allows us to work on fields like that, then we will look at obviously getting a plough. But as things stand, there's just no point to one. So we'll just use the culti-plough to clean those fields up every time. Just need to drop the collection arm. There we go. It's quite picturesque, this map. You know, certain scenes on this, I mean, I love that. Look at that little scene there with the trees and the cabin and the fencing. That's really picturesque. You know, and so much colour in this map as well. When you can consider this in comparison to, say, American Outback or Mustang Valley, particularly Mustang Valley, which doesn't have, you know, a huge amount of colour at all. And Outback actually has even less colour, but at least has a bit more to break up just the large fields. Now, this map has got so much more life and colour in it, as you can see. The trees, you know, the hills look nicer than they did on on Mustang Valley, and I think on American Outback as well. From a distance, you can see that from a distance they look brilliant. Not quite a good close-up, but still pretty decent. And we've got all these green fields and paddocks dotted around, and we have these trees and bushes and patches of green grass on the edges of fields. This farm feels more alive than any of the than the other two previous maps from Shoe. And obviously they don't look alive in the same context as Golden Days of Farming, but that's a very small map. It doesn't have this kind of deserty Midwest kind of feel to it that the other ones have. So this one really does feel a lot more sort of alive than both American Outback and Mustang Valley, and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to leave this wagon up here for now, just simply because we're going to have to do a lot more sort of mowing and collecting and stuff. So this will stay up here, but we've achieved our primary goal for this episode, which was to get our cows up and running. Just try and position that a little bit better. There we go. So we'll leave that up here for now. As I say, we've got plenty of mowing to do. There's the pressure washer, so let's jump out and give our Puma a clean. Puma's going to be a real workhorse at the animal section of the map. It's going to be running all the different tools and equipment, carrying different bits of crop or feed back and forth. It's got the front loader arms as well, so it's going to be shifting stuff around like silage and potentially bales as well. Obviously we've got the Merlot Turbo Farmer telehandler on the main farm. That'll probably live down there and for large baling jobs. But we've achieved everything we needed to do on this particular run. So that's it for the end of episode 1. I hope you've enjoyed this opening episode of our brand new series here on American Midwest. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next part very, very soon. So, as I said, we've got plenty of upcoming content, both in terms of Farming Simulator and other stuff like Real Farm Sim and Spin Tires, both coming at some point later this month. And plenty more to come from this playlist as well. So, thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I will catch you all again very soon.